Hi friends, very delighted to be here to share some of my personal stories to start with. That's all about my schooling. I did my schooling in a rural place and I traveled to my school in a boat. I used to look around the villages around our school and used to wonder at large number of students coming to our school and getting educated. That happened for more than 100 years. Hundreds of students passed out from this school, and as a result of which, they got settled with great happiness and fulfillment in their lives. Who gave that idea to set up this school, a large school in this rural area, to uplift the large number of people around, let's say maybe 30 to 35 villages were supported by this school? That's what I am interested to speak to you all about Pallikudam, church and the school. The literal meaning of this title is school near a church. What is this story all about? We need to go back to, let's say, the history of mid-19th century, two kingdoms. One is Travancore, another is Cochin. Both these kingdoms had something special. That's all about social exclusion. The caste hierarchy was working out it very well. As a result, many people were excluded from the society. The case of women and children were so unique that their cases were worse than the other people. That's where you find the relevance of Saint Chavara. He thought of giving a reply to this situation or a solution to this situation. We find him establishing a school in mid-19th century. When I say about his establishment of a school, before going for that, I'm interested to speak about his school from the context of his vision, the philosophy. You can see that he had a wonderful philosophy of educating the people. But before that, he thought he need a team of people to transform the society, for which he started in 1831 a Catholic religious congregation known as CMI. And this is the first indigenous congregation he started. Followed by that, he also started for women in 1866. That is the congregation of Mother Carmel. You find both these are very first of its kind for men and women. With that establishment, he found that it is better to go for a kind of, let's say, sustainable approach in bringing education or solution to the kind of underdevelopment in society and also in other practices. So you can find his philosophy was based on something he believed in. One is all about now how you will be spiritually blind when you do not have much of knowledge in yourself. That's one aspect he was working out. Next is all about his idea about the light within. The knowledge coming to you through education will enlighten you and your blindness will be taken away if you're working out on that. He was a great proponent of reading. He continued to suggest to the parents and the kids, you may better read, it will enlighten your life. He was a proponent of not just reading alone. As I said earlier, he was very much taken up by the kind of educational opportunities that need to be given. So he told the parents, when your children are coming up of age, take them to school. Not stop with that. Take them to school, but you have to follow up with their studies. That's a kind of very practical approach which Saint Chavara took up. Let me speak about the core of our understanding. The pioneering effort of Saint Kyriakos Elias Chavara, 1846. He started a very simple, very small school, a Sanskrit school, that was answer to the underperformance of many sections of the society. And he wanted to bring them out of that. As a result of which, you find he did not stop in establishing one school, but he had a great dream of having many schools. So he gave an idea that every church should have a school. He did not stop there. Every church should have its school. If you're not starting a school near to the church, you better close the church. So divine wisdom and earthly wisdom considered together, and he gave importance to that. This led to a small, very simple movement of the churches establishing school, and many schools sprouted during his time and later also. In the same year when he started the school, he also started something very interesting, very pioneering effort. That's all about, in 1846, he started a printing press that came to be known as the first Catholic printing press, from where he published journals and even a newspaper, books both of spiritual and other, which led to spread of reading culture. People became literate. He was also instrumental from 1866 onwards, starting boarding schools for girls. That was not known at all in those times, especially in the kingdoms of Travancore and Cochin. So boarding schools, he also started skill training, vocational training. That was very much interesting, useful for women's emancipation. So you see, simple and most pioneering acts he did after that. He was looking at the sustainable model. Mid-19th century, India was facing poverty. We had food grain shortage. So students were not interested to come to school. He thought how to inspire them, how to encourage them to come to school. And there he found a simple mode of bringing them to school, give them free lunch. That's where he started midday meal. But how do you give midday meal? He looked at the community support. That's where you find him asking the families, before preparing your lunch or dinner with rice, why don't you take a small handful of that rice and keep it separately? Weekend you may give to the school. We'll prepare lunch for the students. That community participation, you see, which was revolutionary. Today you see in most of the states of India, you have this free midday meal scheme program. But it was all started in the mid-19th century by Saint Kyriakos Elias Chavara. So that's a very inspiring aspect of how community action and participation was bringing that kind of an approach which was very revolutionary. So altogether, you find Saint Chavara's efforts towards bringing a culture in education. He started a small school. Later, the CMI and CMC congregation went on starting high schools, colleges, and universities. So then he also was inspiring for many of the members and even outside the community to go for diverse fields, even in healthcare, social service, and the like. We also come across this community-based model was getting strengthened. The people in the neighborhood went and asked the CMI fathers, can you start church in our place? Can you start school in our place? That became very much inspiring for them. So I would like to speak about this as an epoch-making event which happened in 1846. Epoch-making event from three aspects. Number one, the inclusion. The inclusion aspect is about how he brought social dignity. Social dignity to the people who were excluded from the society. And the next of it, the kind of social transformation. The students who went through the schools, how they accepted, how they understood other members of the society, as a result of which they were taking that lead in uplifting their families, at the same time, a better understanding in the society. This is also very true about the kind of approach he took beyond academics. It's not just teaching something in the classroom. Can we go beyond academics, looking at the ethics or character formation, for which he gave a lot of importance. I remember reading many times some of his works, and especially a small work which was coming out of a long letter he wrote to his family friends. It is known as Testament of a Loving Father. There he suggested what kind of relationship should be between parents and children and among themselves, and in the school how they have to behave, how you have to read more books, especially of those type which will lead to character formation. Now, you find today the state of Kerala is known as one of the most literate states. And the state of Kerala, the district of Kottayam, was judged as the first district in India as 100% literacy state. And that is city of Kottayam. And the district of Ernakulam became first district in India. And Kerala became the first state of 100% literacy. You can find the roots of this in the pioneering efforts of Saint Chavara, where large number of schools established around the churches gave education to hundreds of students, and became a normal culture in the society that go to school. We have a school in our village. Go to school, get educated, and uplift the society. This continued as a legacy given to the CMI and the CMC, men and women congregation he established. That women empowerment part, I just want to focus a little more. When I said that the boarding school, girls boarding he started, had a privilege of having skill development, vocational training, that too in 1866. That was an amazing part of his journey, which led to women empowerment. So, how overall we look at his contributions, which were amazing. Number one, the accessibility and locality. I already spoke about that, but accessibility, when schools are nearby, students and parents are inspired to go and get educated. Not just a few, but hundreds of schools. And then also the integral growth is not something being taught by the gurus in the school, but more than that, the formation of the child, the integral, the total development that they looked at. We also find the policy of inclusion first, not exclusion. Anybody is welcome to the school, and all the children are supported in the school. We find, as I said earlier, small beginnings matter. He started from a small school, few students, only one teacher. From that, you have hundreds of schools and educational institutions established across. And we also find affordability is the key. It's not that you start a school. Can students afford to get education in these schools? And these are some of the most inspiring thoughts when we look at the significance of Saint Kyriakos Elias Chavara. So, to conclude, I just want to bring to your attention three aspects: the legacy, the impact, and the universal lesson of Pallikudam. Pallikudam is all about a school near the church. So the legacy he gave is an amazing legacy of inclusion. An inclusion which is looking at all sections of society. And he did not stop there. That inclusive policy he wanted to get sustained. That was continued by the members of the congregations he started. The impact created was enormous. I explained about that. But let me also speak about the literacy rate, how it went on increasing. When you have large number of schools available, educational institutions available, the success of the literacy program is all credited with that kind of a policy. Let me also tell you the universal lesson. Universal lesson is not about exclusion, it's all about inclusion. Include people and give them advantage of coming back to the school. And this is the great legacy, and I am hopeful that the kind of legacy has got its own global context and global impact. Many of the states of India do not have enough of schools in the rural places. So many are remaining uneducated. Many of those places remain underdeveloped. The solution St. Chavra brought in, give them schooling, and accessibility to the school will make changes and wonders in the society through an inclusive approach. Thank you and wish you all the best.